But we're going to start with the ongoing global energy crisis because oil prices remain volatile. The price of Brent crude dipped earlier to just under $99 a barrel. That is on reports that the US has submitted peace plans to end the war in the Middle East. President Trump said on Tuesday that the US and Iran are in negotiations, quote, right now, and suggested that Tehran is eager to make a peace deal. Iran, though, has denied that it's in direct talks. It's told the UN that non-hostile vessels will be allowed to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, providing that they coordinate with the Iranian authorities. But it is a tough time for many Asian customers of oil from the Gulf. Typically, 80% of Asian supplies are shipped from there. It's higher still in the Philippines, that's now dealing with a national energy emergency. For more, here's our Asia business correspondent Suranjana Tawari in Manila.
Well, it's largely been business as usual, even though the government did impose those emergency measures almost 24 hours ago. Now, what that allows the government to do is have a bit more flexibility when it comes to procuring new oil supplies from different suppliers, perhaps. Apparently, the Philippines government is talking to the US about maybe procuring them from US-sanctioned countries like Venezuela, like Russia as well. But the impact of what's going on in the Middle East is very real on the streets here. This is one of the biggest crossings in the Philippines. As you can see, there are countless vehicles that rely on fuel, and drivers have been facing price hikes for multiple times now for many, many weeks. The latest being just yesterday when the price increased by 10%. Now, this is actually less traffic because some drivers just haven't been able to fill up fuel. There's a major shortage. And earlier on today, this entire boulevard was full of people trying to get to work and school and wherever they needed to go. So very real consequences of what's going on in the Middle East, and it's being seen right here in the Philippines.
Suranjana Tawari there. Let's talk now to Paul Dales, who's Chief Economist at Capital Economics. Paul, good to have you here. And a lot of people will wonder why we're focusing now on Asian economies susceptible to those shortages of oil. But it's in a sense, they feel it more quickly, don't they? Because the lead time, the delivery time for them is much shorter than the rest of the world.
Yeah, every economy around the world, or most economies, are losing from this oil situation. And it's the Asian economies and to some extent the European economies that are losing the most because they're more dependent on the oil that comes from the Middle East. So there's a lot of pain being spread around the world, but certainly a lot of it is concentrated in Asia.
Yes, and I wonder as well now whether this makes economies rethink their strategy when it comes to things like energy security. We've been here before, I'm sure we'll be here again, but it seems that the lesson is never learned, that economies think, oh, well, actually, the cheaper oil from the Middle East is what we still need, rather than diversifying their sources of energy.
I'm pretty sure most governments are going to be intensifying their plans to become more energy secure. That's certainly what the UK government should be doing. And in terms of trying to help through that process, I think one big difference to what's going to happen in this crisis as opposed to the energy price shock after 2022 is that governments aren't going to provide blanket support. Their support is going to be more targeted to those who need it. And that's actually quite sensible because it means there will be behavioural differences. So those people who aren't getting support will probably change their behaviour. They might use less fuel, they might heat their homes less, and that helps to shift the reliance of economies away from the energy that is really pricey and to some extent hard to find right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul, good to talk to you. Thank you. Paul Dales there at Capital Economics.